when all this happens, at the end of the day, there is a bit of exposure, especially those partnerships. There is a risk of who accesses that data, who manipulates it. And I hear over time, is it data sovereignty or something like that? What must then a government do to ensure that citizens' data is actually safe?
Thank you very much for that question. I think that is the reason why the Data Protection Act was enacted, to give us a framework and to give us an institution that can actually then ensure that this information is safe. That framework is adequate as it is in terms of making sure, one, some of the requirements is that even as different government institutions or private sector are embarking on any form of what would say high risk. For instance, AI in health would be considered very high risk. They undertake what we call a data protection impact assessment, which really is like a risk analysis to be able to identify for you what are the possible risks, how are you going to mitigate it, who are you sharing this information with a third party, and therefore they need to have third party agreements in terms of this. Will you be transferring this data outside of the country? And do those countries you're transferring this information to, do they have the necessary safeguards? Issues around, of course, what you've mentioned, data localization. Is it a requirement? Are you keeping a copy and things like, just to make sure it's safe? So the Data Protection Act is quite robust. And as an office, our work is to make sure that even as we embark on this journey of digitization and now this revolution of around artificial intelligence, we are securing people information. One of the direct clauses on artificial intelligence under the Data Protection Act is Section 35 about automated decision making. And the rights, and also what the Data Protection Act has done is brought the decision making to the customer. So that under that section, the customer, in this case, because our conversation today is around World Consumer Day, has a right to object. They have a right to object to their data being processed. So when they object to the data, it means that they have a reason to ask questions. The other thing that they have options, they can actually opt out of that kind of a conversation. That gives the power to the customer. So the Act makes it quite robust in terms of making sure the data is safe. Two, something I would like to just emphasize.
But does that translate directly to the consumer?
Does it? Now, the other part about that is the framework under the law. What then happens, the consumer can complain if they are affected in terms of if their data was used in a manner that they did not accept, if they objected to it, and their rights including compensation to the consumer. And we have had instances, not necessarily on artificial intelligence, where we've had complaints filed with our office on consumers and the data subject, and there has been compensation. To emphasize that, there has been penalties on people who have violated the Data Protection Act. The other thing I would like to say, because you asked the question about the government, is the issue around data sharing code. The data sharing code will help different government institutions, even as information is in different silos, they're able to share information across, and that is work in progress. It's one of the things that the Cabinet Secretary has set up, our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Eliud Owalo, to actually make sure that that happens.
Okay.
The third thing that is very keen, that we are keen on in terms of making sure that this space of digitization is safe, is to actually do audits. As we speak, we are auditing over 40 institutions in terms of data, so that we are making sure they are not only doing audit, we are doing inspection to make sure that what you're saying you're doing with people's information is actually safe. So those safeguards in terms of audit, in terms of enforcement notices, in terms of penalties, are ways of making sure that even as we embark on the journey of digitization, people's information is safe.
Okay.
And you will be surprised that there's quite a bit of work and robustness as we compare 2 years ago to now. We are seeing action in people coming to ask to be assisted, to be given advisory, and the court has also has spoken to this matter of making sure that people are ensuring that people's data is secure and safe.
All right.